From campaign stops to ballot controversies, it's been a busy week in Wisconsin politics. CBS 58 Capitol correspondent and WisPolitics, Emilee Fannon, and WisPolitics editor J.R. Ross break it all down for us tonight in this week's Capitol Connection.
It's the beginning of bus campaign tour season here in the battleground state as more circuits are flooding Wisconsin. Now, earlier in the week, the Trump campaign had a bus tour that ended in Waukesha with a town hall featuring Vivek Ramaswamy. Meanwhile, on the Democratic side, we had Gwen Walls in key battleground areas like Ozaukee and Waukesha County, those part of the WOW counties. Gwen Walls was there campaigning on behalf of Democrats, but not just at the top of the ticket. What I found interesting is that she also was campaigning for Jody Habush-Sinkin, which is a Democrat running for the 8th Senate District, which is the southeast of Wisconsin, which goes up to Port Washington. Now, the district has changed under the new legislative maps, JR, and it is much more competitive than years past because it's been trickling a little bit more blue.
It's a lot of money going to it, too, right now. So, like, for Democrats in the state Senate, you can't flip the chamber this fall. It's about netting 3 seats at least to give you a chance to win the chamber in 2026. That one's a key one. From what I've been tracking so far, I've seen Habush-Sinkin was $3.1 million in TV reservations. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. That was a kind of congressional campaign budget way back when. Now it's a state Senate race. Dewey Strobel, the Republican state senator, not really as much money being spent right now on his behalf. It reflects the fact that the state Democratic Party is a better fundraising apparatus than the Republican one is. It's just a fact of life. That money is flowing from the state party to candidates. Putting on TV gives them a big advantage in races like that.
All right, and also this week, talking about the election, there was a controversy that came out after the city of Madison mailed duplicate ballots to more than 2,000 voters. Now, election officials did clarify that there are checks and balances in place to ensure that if you got those duplicate ballots, both of them are not going to account, essentially. That's why they have barcodes on the absentee ballot envelopes. But this led to a bigger controversy after Republican Congressman Tom Tiffany made claims that there was supposed to be barcodes on the ballots. They weren't on the actual ballots, they're on the ballot envelopes. But what we want to talk more broadly is that any time that mistakes, human errors are made in our elections, it grows to kind of feeds into the narrative that some conservatives have that there could be widespread fraud on election day. And that is just simply not true because of the things like the checks and balances that they have in place to ensure multiple ballots don't get counted.
Look, if Trump wins Wisconsin by, let's say, 50,000 votes in November, we only hear about this after November 6th, the day after the election, right? Counting is done. If Trump loses Wisconsin, loses by less than 21,000 votes like he did 4 years ago, it'll be part of this kind of fodder you're going to hear of the Trump campaign, or would hear from the Trump campaign, of there's something amiss. You're seeing little pockets of things pop up around Wisconsin and nationally. Part of the effort to try and say, hey, there's something going on here. Talking to people this past week, Republicans and Democrats alike said, look, they're kind of setting the stage for an argument of we have grounds for a lawsuit. Remember, 4 years ago, this thing went on for weeks and months after November. If we are 21,000 votes or less, different again this time around, you could see a scenario where we're in court through November into December. And I've seen quotes from Trump campaign folks saying the election runs through January, i.e. when they count the Electoral College votes. Now, if it's a clear winner, a landslide either way in Electoral College, not going to happen. I'm getting at the scenario of a 50-50 or 50.1 to 49.9 race, where it's the razor's edge, that we have the possibility of court action going on for weeks and months.
And looking ahead to next week, former President Donald Trump will be back in the battleground state. Sources are telling me he's looking to have an event in Dane County, and it will be just days after he held a rally on Prairie du Chien on Saturday. So, of course, making a point to visit here. But what we want to highlight is that he's coming to Dane County, a Democratic stronghold. But this comes after top Republicans like former Republican Governor Tommy Thompson and others are saying, hey, Trump campaign, you can't ignore Dane County because they are such a powerhouse and they're trying to chip away at some of those Democratic votes.
He's not going to win Dane County, okay? But it's about the margin. Go back to 2020, Joe Biden won 75% in Dane County. In 2022, Evers won 77%. If you see Kamala Harris improve on Tony Evers' performance and get to 78, 79%, that is bad news for Donald Trump. It's just like Harris sending surrogates to the WOW counties. Not about winning Waukesha necessarily. It's about cutting the margin there. It's all about this puzzle we've talked about before about the margins in each place. If you can improve a little bit in a place that's 21,000 votes either way, sometimes that can be a big deal in a campaign like this.
Every vote matters here. All right, that will do it for this week. Thanks so much for joining us.